Hey, everybody. Welcome to the archive. My name is Godric Gray. Today, I am joined by Hogbert Manuel, good friend of mine, the Hogman. How you doing tonight, sir?
What's happening out there this evening?
Not a whole lot for me. You doing all right?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Getting a lot of stuff taken care of. It's been a busy summer.
Yeah.
Glad we were able to finally get together.
Yep, it's taken us a few tries to get it together, and I'm pretty excited for this one. For this episode of the archive, the goal is similar to all the other episodes, where we try and tell interesting stories and kind of just preserve our history. And I think you've got a unique perspective with some of the things that you're into and some of the different the different avenues that you go to bring people into the game. I'm pretty excited for this one. So I'll give you the softball, the easy one to begin with. Tell me about how you got into LARPing. Was Amtgard your first game? What it looked like? What hooked you? Tell me about your early LARPing.
Yeah, the first thing I ever did was the SCA in Louisville, and it wasn't for long. It was a couple of times. You might have heard me tell this story before, but it was a couple of times out. But when you're 20 years old, trying to get into fighting in the SCA is nigh impossible if you don't have a bank account or are able to dedicate the funds, right? So that kind of fell by the wayside. Pokemon Go actually was how I got in. Our mutual friend, Lady Air there in Richmond, had met her playing Pokemon Go, and she'd invited me out, and here I am. The rest is history.
That's interesting. Pokemon Go led you to LARPing. You just met? Did you know her before that? Or did you just meet her when you're out playing and she said, "Hey, come LARP"? Or like?
Yeah. We were. I don't remember what it was. We had just crossed paths, but we were in anticipation of having guilds or teams or something, right? So we had just discussed. We were just talking about making a team, and she's like, "Hey, if you guys want to come down and LARP, we'll be down there if you want to come down and play." And yeah, we'll come check that out and play a little with the nerds. And we were instantly hooked, or I was anyway.
Yeah.
Rest is history, as they say.
That's cool. Looking back on it, were there any LARP adjacent, nerd adjacent hobbies or sports or anything like that in your life before Amtgard that looking back, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense?
Yeah. So I used to do a lot of cosplay, especially with the Ghostbusters cosplay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to do a lot on the con circuit. The Louisville Ghostbusters I was one of the original members of that group, and it was a lot of fun back in those days. This was 2001, 2002, long time ago. Wasn't quite cool enough yet, and there wasn't enough. The internet was 5 or 6 years old at that point. Forums were barely around, and you were scratching everything you could get together in order to make a costume, and it was good times, man.
Back before cosplay was mainstream, really.
Yeah. The when you go to cons and things like that, it was more regular stuff. Cosplay definitely was not a big thing, and I don't know. I guess I got too old for it at the time. Grew up a little bit, or moved to Florida. Really, is what happened, and it kind of fell to the wayside when I didn't have my core group of nerds there with me. And
yeah, for sure.
Life, right.
So Pokemon Go led to Amtgard. Yeah. Any other foam fighting games that you play or have tried, or any other? I know you said SEA. Anything in this in the sphere? I travel and play DAG. I don't play a lot of DAG locally, just because I'm already playing Amtgard locally. Upon occasion we'll get together with some of the DAG folks, but it's not a priority for me locally. But I do travel to the Southeast, man. I got to tell you, Southeast DAG it's good stuff. I mean, Midwest DAG is fun too, but some of the sites they've got down there for Winter War are really nice, and really enjoy those events. Orc Wars, that guy's got some stuff going on down there. Trent, South Carolina, that's a great site. Love that place. The pit is amazing. The ambience is amazing. It's great. I've heard a whole lot about Orc Wars. That's one of my short lists that I want to go to.
Yeah, you got to go, man. The last one was right before the shutdown, and days before the shutdown, and it was good stuff, man. I had a lot of fun, met a lot of people, and really got to enjoy myself at that event. Pretty competitive too. Their 4 Horsemen tournament down there was good stuff, man.
Which is good because that's one of the things I hear Amtgarders say all the time that they don't like about Dagbell is that it's not competitive enough. They don't have tournaments. It's just line fighting. So that's good to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, on a local realm park level, maybe. But as far as going to events are concerned, they have tournaments, and it's especially if they have, their 4v4 up to their 7v7s at night. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's the my experience with the Olympics is very similar to that. The Midwest Indianapolis Parks big tournament every year, and it's all tournaments. And so, like when I hear these people say, "Oh, well, DAG doesn't have any tournament scene or have a tournament scene," I'm like, I just don't think you're going to the right events.
Yeah, you need to dig a little deeper and find you some, because they're definitely out there. They're definitely out there. Yeah,
for sure.
I apologize. I keep hearing a squeak. Do you hear that in the background? Anyway, if you see me space out for a second, that's why. Carry on.
Yeah, no worries, man. So tell me a little bit about your first couple of times out at Amtgard. What was it like? What hooked you? Was there a particular aspect of the game that you're like, yep, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, early on, I guess, keep. Baptism by fire, so to speak, right? I was in 3 weeks, and the fourth week I would have gone. I ended up going to keep instead.
Wow.
So, I mean, literally showed up to keep and bought garb. I didn't even have garb yet. And so that was my baptism by fire, so to speak. And you make it to a kingdom event. I think, if we talk about recruitment later, we'll get into this a little bit. But, as a new guy, if you make it to a kingdom level event, you're probably going to be hooked if there's a good large battle game. You go to keep at that time. Was there 800 people? I think in 2016, it was an insane number. There's a lot of people there. And
which site was that?
Wolf Creek. Mm-hmm. It would have been Sir Watt's knighting.
Okay.
Would have been my first. I think that was 16, right? That
was the hot one.
Yeah, I knew some stuff had happened, but didn't know what had happened. I don't know.
Oh, I meant hot just temperature wise. It was smoking that year.
You're talking about that keep proved to be dramatic all the way around, right? Or hot all the way around. There was, yeah, very interesting. Yeah, that was a hot and dry one. God, it was. It was bad. The next year they had heat tents out there. The next year,
I have always wondered why Amtgard has chosen to put their biggest event of the year in the hottest month of the year. I don't get it.
Well, I'll tell you why, or at least why it's not bad if it does happen. Same thing here. My event's right at the end of August. And it's going to be hot, man, but it's dry in the Midwest. Late August, early September is very dry. And so even, I don't know if that was intentional for them or not, but the state of Kentucky, we only get like 3 inches of rain in August, not to get into some weird stuff, but that's great. That really limits your potential for ruining, a 3 or 4 day event with constant rain.
Yeah, I get that for sure. My favorite events have always been the colder weather events. I love Bridge Wars. I love the March event because I can throw armor on and fight all day and not feel like I'm dying.
Sure. Yeah, I can agree with that. The if they don't get too cold, right? I think was that March a while back we had one, just the opposite. I guess we could get too hot. It's the same thing. But it was 4 degrees outside or something. It was. That was a rough event, man.
Yeah, I don't mind snow too much. I mind sub 10 degree temperatures though.
Yeah. When it gets too cold and windy, it gets real bad.
I feel like your average Amtgarder can handle, like if your average new player can handle 100 degree temperature better than they can 10 degree temperature.
Absolutely.
Most people know, sit down in the shade, drink, cool down. Most people don't know, bring 3 pairs of socks in a heated blanket.
Right. Yeah. Especially to a site with no real shelter. You know what I mean? We could fit a third of our people in shelter, but everybody's
maybe.
Not. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you said Keep at 3 weeks in. What was that like? I didn't go to Keep till probably 4 years, maybe. Like it was, and I remember it being fantastic. I loved it. What was it like to be thrown into that big of an event so early?
It may be why I'm so passionate about foam, right? Like it really had a for the glory feel. I don't know how else to put it, right? I mean, here I was, 38, 39 years old. And, I didn't know what I was getting into, right? Like, what do I care? Sure, I'm going to run headlong right into this line. It was amazing. You know, it was pure joy. And so here I am. You know,
there's
doing
something
everything I can to spread it. It's just really good stuff, man.
There's something special about a Keep field with that many people on it. We go from a local park day with 10 to 15 people to a Kingdom event with 250 people to Keep with 1,000. There's nothing else like it.
Yeah. And we're spoiled in the Midwest, right? Like even our Kingdom events are huge, comparatively speaking. I mean, it's not that big of a deal for us to get 200 to 300 people at our Kingdom events. That's a big deal for the regularity that we get them, and I'm kind of spoiled in that regard. I remember even going to like some of the Southeast Amtgard events and them being smaller, and they feel homely, right? Like even say I talk about traveling to the Southeast for DAG, it's just as good for Amtgard. Neverwinter and Winter's Edge, I don't think I've ever had a bad time at any of their events, and we're talking driving from Lexington to the Florida Georgia line to some of those events. I mean, it's a haul, and they're smaller than our events, but they're no less enjoyable.
Yeah, that's definitely something I have to remind myself of is the Amtgard that I have grown up with is not the normative Amtgard around the country. I see these kingdoms who are jumping up and down for 100, 150 people events. Man, our smallest event, if we go lower than 150, that's a big deal. Like even our winter events are more than that. And then our summer events are regularly 250 to 300. And so keeping in mind the size of the Amtgard in which I grew up in is difficult for me sometimes. It's because it's not the experience for most of our game.
Yeah, absolutely correct. It's just normal for them, right? To be at a 100-person event or 100 people being a big deal. And
I remember some of my first.
I like the advantage.
Yeah. I remember some of my first day events. Just everyone show up on Saturday. We're pulling 100 people, and then I hear Kingdom events and other kingdoms are 100 people or 125 people. It's like we're lucky. I love having this many people that all love it. And we're blessed with a big cross gaming community in the Midwest that a lot of people will go back and forth in between the games. And I think that helps quite a bit. I don't know if that's necessarily everywhere else either.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get down there enough to know for sure exactly how that works.
Yeah. So at what point in your Amtgard career did the archery thing pick up? Because I think a lot of people know you for one of two things, right? It's either your aggressive marketing campaigns or your aggressive bow use. Right. So when did the archery become a big deal? How'd you hone that skill? Give me the story of that a little bit.
So as you can probably guess, I'm pretty competitive. Side note, when we were talking about that just a second ago with the bigger kingdoms, one of the things that had crossed my mind, it's also why we're more competitive. Looking back at a previous episode, I maybe you had mentioned it or we had in a private conversation about, somebody talking about how the rising winds almost ruined Phoenix League. And it's like, well, we're super competitive, but we have more people to be competitive with, right? So that's the large part of that. And so that's why, unfortunately, when we travel, we're a little too overbearing in other places. So I could definitely see that. But that's why, there's a bigger pull for those competitive people to come out and for that cream to rise to the top, cream to the rise to the top, whatever that might be.
That was talked about. Woonjo talked about that on his episode of the Whack podcast, about how he's the creator of Phoenix Ball, and how, he talked about the Rising Winds guys would come in and be overly competitive sometimes, but then he thinks overall it helped the game. It was an interesting episode. If you haven't listened to that, go check it out. It's Whack podcast. Some guys down in Winter's Edge. They do some good work there.
Yeah, the WAK, right?
Yep, WAK. So back to the
question. Yeah. Sorry, we're whoa. Remind me of the question, please, Nate.
Yes. How did you get into using a bow? What sparked that? What your style is kind of unique from most other foam fighters and foam archers that I've seen. So how'd you develop that? Just give me the rundown about how you've fallen in love and becoming good with archery.
So I started shooting a bow at that first keep. So a guy let me borrow his bow, and I bought 8 or 10 arrows or whatever. And it's not that I didn't enjoy sword fighting, but I'm just going to tell you that if you've been playing this game for a month or less, and you go to keep and you walk out on the ditch field, you're not going to have a good time. And that's not to say anything bad towards what they did. I was able to recognize at least that, hey, I'm outside of my skill cap here, and no matter how good I think I am, I'm not that guy, right?
You get that dose of humble pie real quickly,
real fast. Especially, in our park, it had maybe only been around 3 months at that point anyway. I don't know how long it was exactly, but we were a new park regardless, and so. No matter how good I was, I thought I was good enough to be just with anybody else, right? No, absolutely not. Anyway, so I just recognized pretty quickly that as competitive as I am with things, that wasn't going to, I didn't have the time, right? I mean, here I was running my, another business and traveling like I was traveling and doing the things I was doing. There was no way I was going to catch up to that. I knew it. And so I had to find something that, I could do on my own and practice and hone a skill at, and enjoy the archery. I had the equipment. So I said, all right, so we'll try to pick this up and get better with it. And it took a little while for me to really get that urge to be competitive with it. But as you asked how I kind of got into that, talking to a few folks early on, I had learned to shoot a little quicker and realized that, faster at it, dropping a quiver, I don't carry a quiver, and, learning how to hold things. And then, I started picking up a guy, Armin Hermer, on YouTube, and started kind of watching what he was doing, and then talking with Duriel, Matthew Elswick in the Rising Winds, and, discussing how to, shoot with a thumb draw. And he's got a little different setup than I have as far as loading his arrows are concerned, but we definitely have the thumb draw in common, and kind of picked his brain about how to use that. And so combining some of the things that I had learned from him, and then I wish I could remember the guy's name. It's been almost 5 years since I've spoken to him. Another gentleman showed me how to use the actual draw technique that I have. And it will come to me. It's going to bug me this entire interview until I but shout out to you, my man, because he's the one that showed me how to do the draw and things like that at the Mongolian draw. If he hadn't shown me how to do that, in fact, at that keep, I probably wouldn't be the archer I am. So he set me off in the right direction. So now that I'm remembering it from 5 years ago, what happened, he had taught me how to do that. How to pick up an arrow off the ground immediately to fire, how to, hold my arrows, how to knock my arrows, all of those things. Tristan is his name. He's from out west. That's his game name is Tristan. But he's quick too, man. That guy really knows his shit. And so he's the one that taught me that. I got back to him a year later, and he's like, I don't know what you want me to show you. And I'm like, oh no, I was looking for the next level. And so all I could do was just keep getting faster and more accurate with it. And here we are. So what hones that, you said? I think you were asking kind of what brought that all together. It was Phoenix League. So, the next year, I think, was the first Phoenix League. I had almost slipped away. Amtgard was becoming a secondary thing for me. And Kristen is like, no, you probably should come out of this Phoenix League thing. You might enjoy it with how much you like being competitive. And Vanguard was kind enough to give this unknown archer class a shot and let me come in there. And then immediately scored 2 points on stack deck. We changed things up. That Vanguard, that 2 years had a hell of a run. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. For
some context for the viewers, stack deck at this point hadn't been scored on, if I recall. They had went and done the national tournament and won everything and didn't get scored on a single time in that tournament, and then came back and got scored on by Vanguard a couple of times. And that was just a huge deal when it happened.
Yeah. I don't think that was quite the timeline, but you are correct. Yeah. They stack deck hadn't been scored on yet, but they got dunked on hard twice that game. And it was just a lot of fun. It was a big deal. And it's not often you hear people cheering for you on the sidelines. And it was great. It was great.
I love it. So for those who aren't necessarily familiar with your style of archery, give me a bird's eye view on how you arch is different than the way most of our game arches. So if someone hasn't seen your videos or your tutorials, I know you've got a few of them out there. They've never seen them before. Just how is it different?
I play more smash mouth archery. If I could move and shoot quick enough, I would wear armor to be right on the front line. But I'm typically 5 feet behind a shieldman. It's not terribly uncommon for me to shoot my guard in the back of the head. It just sometimes that happens. But I get real up close to the front line. My objective is to typically unload, 9 arrows in 20 to 25 seconds and try to blow a hole in the line. Right. This is completely different from park stuff. We're talking about Kingdom events
for sure,
or DAG. If we're playing DAG, they'll let me on the line with the archery. But anyway, so I get up as close as I can to the front line. I try to blow a hole in the line and then go back and collect arrows and pick it all up and go again. I don't carry a quiver, so I'm limited to the 9 arrows that I can carry unless I have a page. So that's what it is. I target. In Amtgard, magic users first, or high value targets if they don't have a lot of armor, and hunter killer. That's it.
I like it. And your grip with you said the Mongolian thumb compared to the normal, Mediterranean? Is that the
actually
normal?
Slower? Yeah. So the grip is actually slower using my thumb because once you put that arrow on and you go to pull your hand back in a Mediterranean draw, you're just literally pulling your hand back, but you have to turn your hand over and push forward and then pull in order to do the thumb draw. So the thumb is actually slower. The problem is we get into some physics. I don't know how deep you want me to go with this, but there's some physics that are involved with which side of the bow your arrow is on as to whether or not you should use the 3-finger or 2-finger Mongolian or Mediterranean or a thumb draw.
I like it. So you've arched in both Dagbell and Amtgard. There is some very different arrow tech and very different rules for each game, hitboxes, things like that. Which do you prefer? Why? Are there good things about both games, bad things? Just give me your overall view of arching in the different games.
Hands down, but talk about getting controversial. Hands down, Amtgard is better as far as archery, as far as I am concerned. Now, this is me being smash mouth competitive or whatever. I don't care about headshots. I don't need them. In fact, when I'm playing in DAG, I don't take them enough because I'm instinctually, I don't want to shoot somebody in the face. So, it is what it is there. I like the Amtgard better because I like the speed arrows better. I think they fly faster. I don't think that DAG arrows are any less accurate, but if we ran a test and found out the DAG arrows were the same speed as Amtgard arrows, I'd be floored.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think they are. Maybe they are, but from my experience, Amtgard speed arrows are considerably faster, and I just enjoy that more because I'm competitive that way.
Yeah. No, I get you for sure. I know from the person on the receiving end of the arrows, I much prefer dag arrows because they are significantly softer. Yeah. And I don't mind getting hit in the face in dag, but man, I've had like 2 injuries that I've had to go to the doctor for in Amtgard, and both of them have been stray arrow shots to the face. Yeah. And the Amtgard arrows, while being quicker, definitely do pack a little bit more of a punch. Do you have an opinion on dags, like, what is it, 28 inches, where they put the tape on the end of the arrow because you can only draw it so much? Does that affect anything?
Well,
I have no clue.
I think Amtgard has the same restriction, right? It's a 28 inch draw at 30 pounds. So it's the same thing. They just have a higher level of security to that, right? I literally on the field have watched people, their arrows blow right past that 28 inch draw mark. When the adrenaline's pumping, sometimes you don't realize
you just do it.
How hard and fast you're playing. And things happen, right? That's, our safety measures are there because we know that things are going to go a little past that, right? Like we could probably have 40-pound bows, but we don't, because if we end up with a 45-pound bow by accident, or maybe the arrow isn't quite in good enough, so I believe anyway, there's a little bit of leeway given to that. At least I hope there is. I hope we're not maxed out.
Yeah, for sure. You don't get the one guy who gets angry and twists his thing a little bit and then puts it back on and goes to town. Yeah.
Batteries in your PVC pipe and
Man, I've heard old stories of old Amtgard tech that makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Like the batteries that slide down, or the sand in it, or it is. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I want to touch a little bit. We don't got to spend too much time here, but I want to touch a little bit. You talked about Vanguard earlier, and I know you said you joined because you liked the competitive nature of Phoenix League in particular, but now you're wearing different colors. You're an Errant Dawn. Give me a rundown of your company journey. What attracted you to each one? Have you only been in 2? What's kind of that looked like for you?
This is the only 2 that I've been in. As far as getting in with Amtgard, there was no better fit for me, right? At the time, they said, "Hey, will you come play Phoenix League with me?" And I mean, we were having a good time kicking ass, right? Yeah. And so we had a great time.
That's Vanguard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had the cohesion on that team was amazing. That team was good stuff, and I wish we could do it again.
Throw some names out there for me.
Paint was the team captain. Lady Air played Bard. Paint typically played Warrior, I believe. Lady Air played Bard. I played Archer the first year before we got into Druid. And we had Bane, the other Bane. Bane, I can't remember. Xylor was the second name. Was a wizard. People are sleeping on Bane's wizard. I'm just going to tell you that right now. People are sleeping on him. Gosh, who else was on that team? I know we had Mary Kai filled in for us a couple of times for Druid when we needed it. I know I'm forgetting somebody.
I'm trying to run through my head with Vanguard.
Adam Stockhausen. Yeah, Adam Stockhausen played with us for a while.
Was Watt in there during that time?
I think Watt filled in one time, but this was a post Watt Vanguard.
Gotcha.
At this time, he had went on to form the Celestial Covenant, I think it was. Okay. At that point, I don't remember.
So you came in after that. Were you correct? You weren't a part of all of the when they broke up, and then
no. So that's right. So then Vanguard, when they broke up, that was the 2016 keep, right? When we talked about, I think it was, if I remember correctly, there was a pretty strong meeting that night. Maybe it was the next year, but something. There was a lot of stuff going down that year.
Gotcha.
That was, but I was not there for the first falling out, I guess.
Yeah. Now, I had a lot of respect for Vanguard at the time because I feel like they were one of those companies that formed with the specific intent of being competitive in an era where there weren't very many competitive companies. FC had pretty much run everything for years, and every now and then you would get a company that would compete a little bit, like, SI might come in for an event or, something like that. But then Vanguard came in and came out swinging for a few years. Like they actually competed, and I think they even won a Bridge Wars maybe. I don't remember on that one, but it was, I really enjoy those companies that form with a specific goal or intent and then follow through with it.
Yeah. They, the light and dark side, right? The yin and the yang, they had a service half and a fighting half. And, you got to, it didn't really matter. You could do either one, but you picked a side. Were you light or dark Vanguard? And, I was in Lady Air, our team generally was focused on the competitive half of things. And
for sure,
Katie Daimler, Dame Skiffy was,
I forgot she was in Vanguard.
Yeah. Yeah. So was Mary Kai, as a matter of fact, too.
I knew that one.
Yeah. And so that was, as far as service half goes, they were kicking ass on that half of things, so it was.
Well, they had Y and Ash too at one point too. And so you've got some high end service and leadership people there too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people were really sleeping on Vanguard. We were having a hard time recruiting, and maybe that had more to do with, I think there was kind of a drought there. I think in general numbers were in a pullback as opposed to growth. And so we were having a tough time recruiting for the competitive half of things.
I gotcha.
Because there was, FC is out there, all the things that you're talking about, all those other people that are, looking to be competitive with certain things. It's a hard world.
Dog eat dog world. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
I like Vanguard because they had a goal, and even if they weren't, like, they competed at it, and they tried every single year. It's not like some of these companies who the goal is to hang out and camp with my friends. And don't get me wrong, if that's the goal of your company, awesome, go join that. But
this game is so big, man. It's literally open for anybody. That's why it's like you could literally look at somebody and go, "That's not my Amtgard." Like there are other people that are out there. It's like me doing TikToks and marketing. That ain't for everybody. Not everybody's going to hop on TV. I'm not going to cook breakfast. It's not because it's beneath me. It's just because
it's not what you enjoy.
It's not my Amtgard, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I liked seeing another competitive fighting company spring up, and it was more than just, we want to compete. It was, let's have a plan. Let's actually compete. And they did.
Yeah.
And so that leads to Errant Dawn, who is in a very similar vein. That same mindset of, we're going to show up and compete. We want to win. You guys beat us this last year in Bridge Wars, which was some of the most fun, I guess 2 years ago now, some of the most fun I've had in Amtgard in years. So tell me a little bit about Errant Dawn and your role in there and how all that works.
So I guess at the end of the last Phoenix League season that we actually had, the last one, Errant Dawn was call it a poly company, I guess. They allow you to be in Errant Dawn and also be in other fighting companies. We look to travel to a few events a year that are competitive and try to win, whatever that event may be. So, you're talking things like Keep, Bridge Wars, whatever that might be. So that's kind of our mission and what it is that we like to do. And so the rest of the time of year, if you're in another fight company, by all means, wear those colors and, fight with those folks. And that's allowed us to pick up and still commingle with, folks like Manama. You know what I mean? Like we may or may not have Manama with or without, he's in Vanguard the rest of the time, I believe. So there's, we allow you to, if you're not going to be competitive with us on the road while you're at home, by all means be in a local company, because that's important. You want to hang out with your friends and do those kind of things. And it's not like FC is going to travel to, 4 different events all over the country. So,
Nope.
if you're traveling, and there's nothing wrong with that again, right? It's, but if you're one of 50 people in your company that wants to travel, but you don't have a competitive group to travel with, we're going to be your huckleberry, right? We can accommodate that. And so that's what we're here for.
Yeah, it's a neat model that I hadn't seen done until you guys had done it. That idea of you can have your local group to camp with at Kingdom and your local day events or Grand Duchy events or whatever, but these 2 or 3 events a year, you're with us and we're going to compete and we're going to win. And then after that, cool, go hang out with your friends on the events that we're not competing at. Like again, I don't know if it's necessarily something I would want for me personally, but I really like the option. I think it's a cool structure that I hadn't seen before, and it seems to be working pretty well for you guys.
We enjoy it. Yeah. We're all very competitive people anyway, right? So it fits. And, if that's your Amtgard, then you should pursue that, because there are other people out there that also enjoy being super competitive. The Sparmy Bros. We haven't talked about it yet, but if we don't have a 4v4 or 5v5 team coming up for some of these DAG events, I'm going to be disappointed. Raven, I'm talking to you. DAG events this year. We're gonna do some 4v4s and 5v5s. Let's go.
Raven's just one of those phone, like the Amtgard speed bat nights, right? He's not actually good at like real combat. Like that's what I've heard.
Actually terrible at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
I don't know how the guy manages to do anything, right? Putting anything over 5.5 ounces in his hand is just terrible stuff. No, it's unfortunate for him, man. He had hurt his neck and he was supposed to go to Europe, whether it's Romania or I don't remember where they're going. I think it was Romania, but good on them for winning the nationals and going to a world title contention in Europe. And he had hurt his neck, so I don't think he's doing that now.
For those who kind of don't know what we're alluding to and what we're talking about here, there's some friends of ours are on I think it's Armored Combat League is the official league, and they are mainly warlords and other high-end foam fighters from Amtgard, and then they've got some others from the Steel world that have come together. Yeah. But this team that qualified to be the best team in the entire nation, who was traveling to like the Olympics for their game, this multinational competition, and I don't know if it's the majority, but there were at least multiple foam fighters on that team, like guys who started in the foam world, which is really cool.
Well, and I love it because when you get on TikTok and you see these guys that are like, foam is just use a real source. Like, listen, you're still a dork, bro. Back up just a little bit and recognize that the guys that are absolutely whipping your ass started right here in foam. Yeah. These guys practice with foam because it makes sense to do so. What you're clowning on, I have no idea, but keep pretending you're good because you're not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. These people are like, oh, well, go pick up a real sword. It's like the guys who beat you are going to beat you no matter what game you play. Yeah. Like these guys are just that good at what they're doing. It doesn't matter what.
And they practice at it, right? That's their job, man, is to steel fight. Like why these people think they're going to beat these guys, I have no idea. These are paid professional fighters.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned there the comments on your TikTok. That is out of all of the stuff that you do, that's the one thing that I just don't understand how you deal with all of the randos, with all of the shade on every video that you post. So give me a look into that crazy head of yours. How do you do that? Like how do you just shake off that and keep making content?
I learned that I'm doing it right. Right. If you have somebody throwing mindless shade at you in your direction, they're literally hating. It's the hater's ball. Hater. That is it. And I love it, man. I'm not kidding. When I say that I get these people in Facebook groups or whatever it is, and they're just making just shitty comments about whatever, like I'm good with it. Let's go. Cause I'm going to poke back. I don't, it's great. I know I'm doing something right. when I catch a little bit of hate. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't check me if I'm doing something completely wrong. That's perfectly fine. But if you're just, oh, this is garbage, bet.
Yeah, that's it. There's so many in every one of your TikToks. There are people who are like, "Oh, pick up a real sword and fight me, bro." And it's like,
come on,
how many of these do we got to see before you get the point? Like,
yeah. The SCA is my favorite LARP. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't even mind the SCAers or the steel fighters or anything like that. The ones that bother me are like the high school dropouts who are back from their first tour of duty, you know, from the armed services, or like, I'll show up and beat every single one of you on day one. What is all this? It's like, come on, guys. Like, or
come on out, do it. You know what I mean? Like, knock yourself out, man. We're ComeTryLARP.com's got a home for you.
Yep.
You know, it's not like you're going to come out here and punch us in the face. You know what I mean? So you're going to show up and you're going to be dishonorable and, you know, win and go home and know you lost because you're probably somewhat intelligent. Yeah. And then that's it, you know, or you're going to come get your absolute ass kicked and you're hooked. Yep. And then the next thing you know what I mean? And that happens too. There's no question in my mind, you know, if you've got a new guy that shows up and he's a competitive dude, whip his ass. You know, you can, if you whip his ass, he'll be there next week because he won't understand why. Yeah. And he'll want to beat you. And then next thing you know, he's looking to get better.
Yeah. That's one of the things for me that, like, I love being the person to dish out that humble pie that we were talking about, because it was so important for me. Like, it was to have somebody show up and just stomp me into the ground and show me what is possible out there.
Right.
Like, that's what hooked me. And so I love being out there on, you know, and some new guy shows up and he's, you know, a relatively athletic guy. Maybe he's, you know, I played high school football. I'm going to just smoke all these fat, lazy nerds, you know, and then you just beat them 6 or 7 times and you can see it processing.
Right.
That I love that. I love seeing that hook into new players where it's like, okay, well,
there's more to it than what meets the eye. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what, now that I think about it, you're talking about when I first got into it, I had seen Tristan, he was on the other team on the field, and I had seen him shoot. I think he was holding 3 arrows in his draw hand, and he fired relatively quickly, hell of a lot quicker than I was trying to pull arrows out of my back quiver and, you know, all of that stuff. That was my aha moment. Came pretty quick, but yeah, that's why I ended up approaching him to learn. Anyway, back to our.
No, you're good. I remember for me, I started playing at a local park, and because I was relatively young and skinny and athletic, I was better than a lot of the people at my park. It was a brand new park, so we were all bad anyway. Yeah. But I remember when FC rolled up, they came to visit from Griffin's Perch, and Dead Soon and Smurf and Declan just smoked me. I had no clue what it was even possible to where I go to hit. I remember Dead Soon in particular. He's a lefty who hits like a truck, and I went to throw and he clipped my arm, and I'm like,
what happened?
What? Like, I think we all of us, the competitive fighters, have that person in that moment that they can look back on and go, that guy was good. And that's what made me want to get good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Getting smoke one time when you're even remotely competitive will do wonders for your, I don't know about wonders, but it'll humble you and make you want to get better.
For sure. So going back to the TikTok a little bit, that's kind of a new medium that some of our viewers might, you know, roll their eyes at. Oh, isn't that just the app where all those, you know, teeny boppers are dancing and singing songs? And like, so why TikTok? What is it working? Is it worth it? Give me your whole story on that.
So why TikTok? You can't reach, there's no other platform that I'm aware of that you can reach millions of people
for free,
for $0 and do it in days. It's not to say you're going to get that on every TikTok and I mean, unless you want to have 1 million followers, you don't want that anyway. I don't want 1 million followers. I'm all about a little bit of growth, but I don't want that heat, right? It's crazy when you get too big. But you put out a little bit of good content. It picks up on that algorithm, and then the feedback that you get, the comments, where can I go play and what can I do? And, where can I go do this? And that kind of thing is pretty nutty. It absolutely. And it's not me. It's not just me. It's everybody. Every single day I get I won't say every day. I'll say every week I get 3 to 5 new Amtgard, Dagorhir, Bell, or even steel fighting now, followers, whether that's actual parks or individuals that are starting to post content. And, I'm just a guy making TikToks. It's not like I'm not anything special. I produce average TikTok content. These other folks, as they start to develop and they get better and start making better content, Shay Terrison, talk about shout outs, JT Drizzle, some of these guys, 100,000 followers. There's a Thrashley, I think up north, she's a steel fighter, 200,000 followers. It's, Gore guy, 30,000 followers for the blacksmith. As these people are producing content, Live, Laugh, LARP in Kansas City, my gosh, this guy, talk about exploding. Nothing. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, he had 26,000 people. It wasn't very long. But he poops content. You know what I mean? And every single one of them doesn't hit a home run, but 1 out of 10 of them's doing 150,000 views. And, you get a couple thousand followers on that. And, next thing you know, you're, rolling in 5-digit followers. But on all of these videos, when they're being put out, people are asking where to go play. And, there's no, everybody's not in, South Carolina, Dagorhir, or in Richmond, Kentucky, or whatever it might be. Well, even, the one that you were in, it's got 400,000 views on it or something. And there's a lot of folks in there. Hey, where do I go play? It's not like I can tell them, come on out to Richmond, Kentucky, down to the Tyrant's Thorn, and we'll set you up, So all of those people are recruiting, and, they either send them directly to the Amtgard.com or Dagorhir.com, or they go to the Come Try LARP website, whatever it might be, and, to recruit people in. But there are, like I say, 3 to 5 new accounts that are driving
tons of people.
Recruitment, just beacons of recruitment light, just all over. Even what's wild, what people don't understand about it, it's not just me. As those groups get together, they might see Shay Terrison on one video and then see Live, Laugh, LARP on another, and then they see mine and go, hey, where do I go play? Or, whatever the thing of events that might be, but they're getting hit with foam fighting content or steel content over and over again. And eventually they're going to go, wait a minute, this isn't a one-off thing. I can go do this. And then they squeak up and ask. I promise you, there are tens of thousands of people that don't know about Amtgard.com or ComeTryLARP.com or Dagorhir.com. They just have no idea any one of those websites exists
or the possibilities.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
right.
For those who are maybe questioning the numbers, I just pulled up the video I was in that he was talking about. Normal park day where Hogman's filming this. I, am trying to do more than my skill level. I break a pole arm. Cool video, 30 seconds, sitting at 800,000 views with 21,000 likes.
It's got 800,000 views on that.
800. It has 847,000 views, and it's got almost 300 comments. So and that was, sometimes you can think, oh, I need to be at a kingdom. We need keep battles, and those are good videos. Don't miss those opportunities. But your local park day, like that, we had 8 people on the field. Right. Yeah. It wasn't even a huge thing. And I had a pole. I stabbed somebody. I spun around, hit another guy, and it snapped the pole. And everyone you could hear just go, ooh, and content like that. How many people you think found a foam fighting game off of that video? 150?
Tough one to say.
I mean, but like a more for a free video, there were multiple. We'll put it at that.
I don't know that that's the video, but there are other ones that are out there that are, I mean, Shay Terrison, like I say, even the one that I have of all of the dad guys from the Orc Wars event, that one's got 1.6 million views or whatever it is. Thousands of comments on that video. And there's no question that hundreds of people ended up in a Facebook group. Now that video landed right in the middle of the height of COVID, right? So we're talking right in the middle of winter 2021, whatever, would have been at that point in time. But, I'm shuffling people up here and over here and trying to do this, that, and the other thing. And this was before the site was up, right? That was one of the main driving factors to getting that thing running, was not having any, having nowhere to put them, having to actually look up a Facebook park for a certain group or send them to, the Orc, God love it. It's a wonderful resource. But there's dead parks there. You know what I mean? So that makes all of that pretty tough. Yeah. So
explain what this is. Just the Come Try LARP website. Give me the rundown on what it does, why it's here, how to use it. I'll click through stuff if you need me to, but why'd you make this site and what's it doing?
Recruitment is the big thing. It's not for, how do I put this? It is to literally bring up the easiest path to finding a home for anybody that is looking for a game, right? So you just clicked on find a park, correct? And then I'm not sure where it looks like.
My VPN sent me over to.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So great. But what happens when you click that find a chapter, it automatically locates you. If you're on a VPN, you might have to type in where you want to go. But it automatically geolocates where you're at. And it shows you all of the parks within 100 miles of that location. Right. So, and I don't know if those are all Amtgard that you've got there, or some of those are DAG, or it could be many different things. But basically what happens is you click on the one that is closest to you. It gives you some information on it there. Like this, you can scroll down real quick, I guess, if you want to show them what's happening, and then click for directions. Click that button real quick. You're 3 clicks away. You click find a chapter, it pulls it up on the map, click for directions, and then you can literally click on that, and it will give you turn-by-turn directions on how to get there in 3 clicks. So I like the user photos too. That's helpful. Yeah. You can actually see what you're getting into, right? Like if, oh man, is this a steel fighting game? I'm not really sure. Okay, these people are wearing t-shirts. I'm probably okay. Like I feel like that's going to help a lot of new players feel comfortable knowing what they're getting into. Right. It's not all professionally manicured photos and right. We're just folks that are coming out to play. And so, it's working quite well. The whole net, if you will, bringing everything together. And shout out to those other folks that are out there, man. I mean, anytime somebody says where to go, not anytime, but a lot of the time, especially with people in the network, so to speak, they are driving traffic. I mean, Shay Terrison is driving people. I mean, every single day I get an at Come Try LARP, and she's, go check out his bio. There's a link and they'll find a park near you. Same thing with Live, Laugh, LARP and JT Drizzle. I can't shout those guys out enough. They're doing a lot to drive traffic. It is not just me. Bucharest Amtgard in Knoxville, Tennessee, they had a regular one, and they actually picked up locals. They're hashtagging their local city. They're not in Knoxville. They're in Bristol. Near the border there in Virginia. Anyway, but they picked up a couple folks directly off of just a cheesy little TikTok that they'd done. And now they have 2 new players that were local to their own folks, which is amazing. Which is awesome. Yeah. So someone might be watching this and there's like, Hogman, I kind of get it. We've got some people joining. I just want to play at my local park. Like, I don't like the Facebook drama. I don't like the social media stuff. I just want to play my game. What would you tell them? Why is it important to be on these platforms, and why is recruitment such a big deal? So you worded that funny, right? The drama part can always be avoided, right? You never have to comment or read anything. But as far as a park is concerned, it is imperative that a park has a page, not a group. What you're talking about is a group, right? Your kingdom page is a group page, most likely. But if your park has an actual page, then you can run advertisements that'll, target directly. We just did that at the Tyrant's Thorn. I think with 20 something people that have never signed in before, maybe a few of them had. We had 20 people that were not local or that were local to us that
weren't normal.
Do not currently play. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so having Facebook there as a tool is very important. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And if you're new to it, there's a step-by-step thing. Maybe we can put that in the notes.
Yeah, for sure.
For folks that want to pick up a Facebook ad and learn how to run that. You can throw a couple $100 at a Facebook ad and get 20 locals to show up. And, you're going to average about $10 a head on that ad is what it's going to cost you, at least at the last 3 events. For every $10 we spent in ad revenue, we got, one person to show up that had never used a sword before. So, pretty good turnaround financially speaking, as far as a per head dollar amount goes. But yeah, getting on really the two for me are TikTok and Facebook. Everybody has Facebook, at least over the age of 25 to 27. Whatever the crowd is after, was it Zennials? Whoever it is after the millennials, or I think
millennials, Gen Z, and then the Zoomers.
Yeah, so those guys, not the millennials, but everybody younger than them, they're on different platforms. They have largely shunned Facebook. Facebook's got a real problem keeping their grip on those folks. They're not interested in keeping a lifelong record of everything.
No, they don't want to be on the same platform that their grandparents are.
Yeah.
Like
old people ruin it, man.
Yeah.
but that's what's going on. So if you want to reach the under 25 crowd, you have to go somewhere else other than Facebook. And at the end of the day, you can print all the flyers that you want, but it is not 1998. Yes, they work. Yes, there's evidence that you will pick up players. And you can certainly go do all of those things and you'll get folks from it. But everybody has TikTok or they have Facebook, and most have both at this point in time. A third of the country is on TikTok. I mean, I'm talking about your grandparents. 1 out of 3 people watching this, your grandparents are on TikTok.
Just how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the way of things. The marketers are coming in and they're going to ruin TikTok, and
then the next thing will pop up.
Yeah. And I'll be there for that too.
Well, and I think people need to understand that if you ignore recruiting, you will not have the local park to play at. I see a lot of people who get in this mindset of, I just want to play my game with my 6 or 8 friends. I guarantee you, as the years go on, as people have kids, as people get new jobs, as people move away, your 6 to 8 friends that you loved Amtgard with, that you have all these fond memories of, is going to whittle down to 6 to 4. And then eventually it's going to be you and one person showing up, and you're just not going to get to play the game that you love anymore. And for some people, that's okay, right? This game, if it's not a lifelong thing for everybody,
right?
But if it's something that you want to keep playing, if you are not constantly recruiting your park and then your kingdom and then your game, it's this big funnel,
right?
Will die.
Yeah.
And everybody, whether you're doing the stuff online or you're the face that the new player sees when they show up, you need to be cognizant of it. The way that you conduct yourself at park, the way you conduct yourself online is very important for the retention of these new players. And without the new players, we don't have a game to play.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a game. I don't know about you. I don't want a game that is full of a bunch of jaded old players like me. Like, well, I want the young players, because that's what makes it fun.
Even on a, it's an interesting thing, right? Because even on a broader level than what you're talking about for the game itself, like, you need new people for your support network. Like, when people get knighted, they graduate. That's not to say that just because somebody gets a belt that they stop doing service, but there needs to be that churn and that turnover so that new people can come up and help fill those gaps that are there for, their Amtgard, right? Whatever that might be. But also for the vendors, if you don't have new guys coming in, your vendors don't have a continuous supply of customers. And without that, it becomes difficult for them to produce equipment as cheap as they do. You cannot say enough good things about big vendors as far as like how they actually keep this game alive. When you get into the world of Smiling Foamworks, and I'm going to leave somebody out here, I'm sure, but Forge Foam or Gorg or whoever it might be, just to name a couple of those bigger folks that are out there creating stuff, those guys are buying in bulk. They're buying large amounts. And even more, so pricing aside to being able to keep pricing low, they are able to keep the game in constant supply. You can say, well, hey, go buy it from, Joe, because he's at our park and and that's fine. But what's going to happen is eventually Joe has a real job and Joe doesn't have time to make the 72 new swords that he needs to make. And that new guy, he just wants a sword. Just give him a sword. He doesn't want to make a sword. He just wants to buy one. So then you have, your national people are coming in and then they're able to handle that because that's what they do for a living. They're good at it. It's their job.
Well, and with those national people, I don't have to worry about their gear, right? When I walk out on a field and I see those, the 3 little stars of Gorg, or I see Smiley's, the color scheme of his swords or whatever. Yeah. Like I know that I am not going to get hurt from newbie who grabbed a metal golf club by mistake and threw yoga mat on it because it was the only foam at his local Walmart.
Or he's testing his brand new tech.
Yeah, and
and I've been there. I'm that guy.
Yeah. There is a place for that stuff, right? Not everybody can afford or should be spending, $60, $80 on a stick.
Yeah,
that's how it is, right? But when I go to a tournament and I can recognize 8 out of the 10 sticks are made by a professional person, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to get too hurt this time. And that I like that as a veteran player who has been hit in the head and in the ribs with like cored out red weapons and dag.
Yeah,
I'll take Gorg all day, man. Yeah. I'll take Gorg all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not to say that your local guy doesn't do a good job, right? Because he does. I just don't know your local guy. Right. Well, I mean, even here locally, you know what I mean? When Sevic was making sabers, you know what I mean, before the pandemic, and even, Watt, he's Thermos Rocket Boffer Works, and he makes a few here and there, but and you have to support your local guys just like you do the national guys, but the national guys play a role that I don't think a lot of people, it's not to say that it's beyond their comprehension, but there's a massive role these big guys play in pressure valve release that is really crucial, and something that I was honestly very concerned about during all of COVID, because these people actually rely on this money for income, and had we gone another year, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to think about what might have happened to some of these bigger guys and not being able to vend. It's one thing to sit down for a year. It's another to take 2 off. It's tough, man.
Tough. Well, I was watching a video on SCA vending, and the theory was presented that the more merchants that you have at events, the more people you're going to have overall. And so this was it was a class on how to run an event, what we call cratting. And they said, start with your site. And then the next thing that you do is vendors, because if you can get 15 vendors to all post on their social medias that they're going to be at an event, that is the next thing that is going to prop your event up, because people love going to Vendors Row. They love going to buy the gear. Like, it's the same. I don't get to go to, Keep or O's or those type of things. And so I might bring, like last Keep, I brought $80 because I saw a specific hat. It was a Mongolian hat on one of the vendors' Facebook pages, but I didn't want to spend $30 to ship it. So I remember I got there, I got my stuff set up. I was giddy. I grabbed my wallet and I'm going to vendors row. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there is something about more vendors directly ties into the number of people at your events. Yeah. Except for whatever reason in the Rising Winds, because our events are so far out in the middle of nowhere. Like we only have like 3 vendors or 2 vendors and we still get big events. Right. But like at Keep or at Olympics, like you go to Olympics and there's 12 to 15 vendors there. Right. That's really cool. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I have not been to Olympics yet. You need to, man. It's so fun. Yeah. Need to go. Absolutely. And they're absolutely correct. Vending is very important. Very important. Well, it adds an air. It's like you're saying, it adds to the experience, right? You get to go shopping and it's a big thing. Yep. Even psychologically for, a patron, if you will, like a customer or, an attendee, whatever you want to call them. Well, I sold a belt to a new player just a couple of weeks ago, and I said, hey, I can mail this to you, or you can bring it out to park. I can bring it out to park, and the next time I see you, this guy was so excited to get his belt. Yeah. He drove out to my house in the middle of nowhere to pick this belt up. Yeah. And he said, I just went to the Ren Fair and I got my garb and I just want to wear it all the time. I don't understand. Why can't I just wear my garb? People get excited about their new nerd stuff. Like they love it. That's the pressure valve, right? That's if, Water, whoever doesn't have one available and can't make one this week, you can go to this guy who's down in Florida that does it full time, or out in New Mexico who does it full time, or whatever, whatever it might be, and order it from one of those folks and get a quality product and get it in 2 or 3 days. Yep. And I remember as a new player seeing all of the cool garb and seeing all of the cool accessories. And when I went to my first Kingdom Field, I was in a pair of basketball shorts, a pair of Toms, and a pillow sheet that I had cut a neck hole out of. And that was my garb for the first event. Yeah. And that's perfectly fine and acceptable, not shaming new players whatsoever. Right. Absolutely. Perfect. But man, I walked out on the field and I saw something similar like what you have on with the applique. It's got the stripes. It's like, I didn't even know that was a real thing. Right. Wait a minute. Whoa. And it drove me to now I probably have like a real problem with garb because I love it so much, man. I've got I spend more every year on my garb than I do my mundane clothes. I love it. I had that problem right when I first joined Vanguard, and I just listen. If you're new, if you're a new guy and you're watching this, do not join a fight company and buy 5 tunics because you never know what might happen a year later and to that $2,000 worth of garb that's no longer wearable. Yeah. Yep. Belong to the streets. Yep. Especially if anybody needs some good used Vanguard garb out there, let me know. Well, or if you get a fighting company garb and then you throw your personal heraldry on it and then you can't sell it to anybody else. Yeah. Yeah. It's like my Japanese samurai guy that I've got, my Oni mask. Sorry, I couldn't, the words would not come to mind. The Oni mask that I have for mine. It's complete. This is completely worthless to anybody. I'll never be able to sell it to anybody else at all, which is fine. It's it is what it is. It's part of the game. You realize it. Yeah. Yeah. But make sure to buy some not so specific garb when you first start out. Well, and that's the thing too. Another, I don't know, soapbox PSA thing. If you're a new player, don't feel like you got to join a company. Hang out, have fun. I remember when I was a new player, I wanted to join a company so bad because I wanted people to camp with. Yeah. And I was super competitive, so I wanted to join one. But man, spend your first event, just hang out, figure out the game. You don't even know the cultures of these companies. You don't know the people that well yet. Don't feel like you have to have a fighting company day one, week one, just because most of the time you've been in 2 companies. I've been in 3. Most people jump around on this stuff. So if you join one on the first weekend, cool. If not, cool. Just go have fun. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to completely disagree with you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Which is weird, right? Because you and I, we've been playing together, almost 3.5, 4 years now, something like that, a while. So you probably know. Back when our park, the Grim Garrison, first started growing and those new people started going to Kingdom events, they immediately joined Daggers of the Silver Moon. A lot of them did. It used to drive me nuts because, I thought when new people would show up, they would see everybody in the green and black and silver, and they would be put off because they weren't part of the team and yada, 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 and this, that, and the other thing. And as I started doing, the Come Try LARP stuff and, bringing in new people and kind of seeing what was happening out there, I don't think it's such a bad thing.
People can be connected, maybe.
Well, yeah. So especially once I started talking to Varl with
Ku Morgan.
Right.
Man, props to those guys too.
Absolutely.
Props to Ku
and
Morgan.
to the Daggers as well, man. Like I used to think, man, why are you picking up new people like this? This is crazy. Like they have no idea what's going on. You're scooping them up. But now, once I've really started to see, those guys play a huge role.
Massive.
In a very important
Massive.
I honestly believe that if somebody goes to one of those events and gets to join the group, right, they may quit in 2 events. They may be there like Varl forever. We have no idea, but it's not like, I'm not saying that they're there for the new people, especially Ku Morgan. I've spoken to Austin about this specifically, and he and I have been working for a while now on working with helping what's the word I'm looking for? Develop or grow that area of things for new people. But yeah, I wholeheartedly disagree with you. I think if you go to an event and should you jump into Errant Dawn? No, they're not going to let you anyway, right? Neither of those, right? And that's fine too. It's not that they're being elitist, but they're looking at a level of competitiveness. Whereas
we're being elitist. You don't gotta. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, right, but it is what it is. It's not the place for new people. Everybody doesn't.
Well, so for viewers to get a little bit of reference here, the fighting company he's talking about, Ku Morgan, they specialize in being a place for new players to be able to come feel comfortable. They teach you the basics of how to fight, how to sew, how to have a place to fit in and adjust to the social culture of this game, because it can be overwhelming sometimes. And so they field. They fight. They understand that a lot of players will come join their company, and then 2 or 3 events later they'll leave. They don't get upset by that. That they maintain the good relationships there. Yeah. So many of the top fighters in the elite companies in our kingdom have started at Ku Morgan, and it plays a very pivotal role in new player onboarding. I guess is probably the right way to say it.
That's a very good way to put it, right? They help run the tutorial.
Yep. Very much so. Now, I guess my point is more of, if you get there and and all of your friends are in one of the elite fighting companies who they don't take you on day one, don't let that off put you. Don't quit the game because you don't get to wear the same colors as your friends. Dyer here, I've got friends in the Scions. Some of my best friends are not in my fighting company, and it's completely fine.
Yeah. Listen, don't let somebody tell you can't wear red and white or green and blue. You make whatever garb you want to. Now you may not want to put a symbol on it, right?
Yep.
But if you're new and you're listening to this and Viking red and cream are your favorite colors, by God,
do it.
Go for it.
Yep.
Fuck anybody that tells you any different.
Yep. I'm just happy you're making garb.
Yeah.
I do see that quite a bit. I probably will make a bit, now that you say that, I'll probably make a video on that in particular, put it on my YouTube, just what colors should I use? No one cares what colors you use. You use whatever colors you want. The only thing you'll get some like rub on is if you use my colors with my symbol.
Right.
I don't care. Use my colors. Go for it, dude. If you find blue and green on sale at Walmart or Joann's or whatever, and that's the cheapest fabric, and you like it, dude, just make some stuff like that. That's cool.
Do it. 100%.
Yeah. So we've taken a look a little bit at your TikTok and the Come Try LARP. And I know that you've got a big event. You were on Stab Chats with Anatole here just a little bit ago, and love that. That guy's awesome. And I love the content he puts out. So give us a rundown. What are you working on? What is this big event I keep seeing all the photos for on Facebook?
Yeah.
And what do you got planned?
So it's the Come Try LARP National Tournament, which is it's a stick jock event. It is what it is. But our main goal, right? We want to host an event for the attendees, of course, but our purpose for this is to be able to gather footage so that we can post-produce good content that we're looking to, put on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook to recruit in a way that we've just never been able to do before. The organization has thrown a ridiculous amount of money at cameras and camcorders and gimbals and, all of that stuff to be able to come in and do what we can do feasibly, right? To, record more than one angle and make sure that we can get things together appropriately so that we can produce some high quality content and really look at doing some real recruiting. Not that we don't do real recruiting, but press it on to those other platforms that are long form. To put that, something
clean and polished that will be attractive for people who have no clue what we're doing.
Right. That's the other thing, right? Is to be able to come in and do commentary after the fact, right? So when you get, not only are you recording, the best fighters in the country that are down here, but then you'll be able to take people that actually know what's going on to be able to come back and replay it. You'll be able to see sword side and board side, both shots from both angles, and plenty of replay and commentary to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on, or this is why his footwork is garbage. This is what is happening with if he had only done X, Y, Z. So not only it plays two things, right? You can see in those comments, we were talking about some of those comments before on TikTok. It's when I do my commentary on things, every once in a while somebody will pop up and, hey, thank you for explaining that. I've been watching your videos, or, I'm from Mexico and I watch the Mexico jugging, by the way, on a side note, on TikTok is freaking amazing. The jugging league in Latin America it's off the chains. It's great. But they, when they're talking about how we're fighting, right, because they're seeing all the fancy, crazy shit that they're not even close to the same level. So when they see the stuff that we're doing, like, whoa, how, this is really good. Thank you for explaining what is happening here. We'll be able to do that, in long form as well, which is, I'm really excited for. We're going to hopefully throw a mic on. Brett's coming in. Brett Skinner is going to be head of officiating there. So we'll hopefully be able to mic him up. He's a vocal reeve when necessary. So it'll be good to have, his explanation of what he saw was going on. And then, of course, we'll be able to commentate on everything after the fact. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm excited to see. Like I am a fan of long form content, obviously, as we make these type of videos.
Kind of rearranging my rear end on this heart.
Yeah, right.
Great.
I am really looking forward to high end fighters, mainly just because I want to learn. Right, like we have videos out there of people. Here's a specific shot, or maybe you get Dalos and some of those guys. They'll do some of the like breakdowns and pauses and go in, but most of it's YouTube content that is filmed on someone's iPhone that is then being streamed 720 through Twitch. That is, you know what I mean. And by the time,
by the way,
it is good. But I am excited to get high end quality stuff that we just don't have the opportunity really in any of our games to do other than this.
It's expensive. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just, there's a financial barrier there. And the people that have that equipment generally have it because they're professional in something else. I'm just, I don't know, a moron. I don't know. Throw money at camera equipment to try to put this together, try to make the dream work. But yeah, if you don't have somebody locally that already owns that kind of equipment, which people just don't have it unless they're pursuing.
There's no reason to.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And why should you when your iPhone shoots just fine? There's absolutely nothing wrong with iPhone video. It's amazing. Yep. But when you get into 120 frames per second on a DSLR mirrorless camera, somebody has that for a reason. Then you throw in what used to be an $800 gimbal. You can get those now for a couple of $100, but you either got to be a moron or have a secondary reason to do it. And
so fighter wise,
I'm the moron, by the way.
If I'm showing up, I'm planning on coming and fighting. What do I need to prep for? What categories are there? Where are we going? Give me some of the rundown.
Yeah. So first of all, big shout out to the archery guys that are coming in. A couple of archery tickets already sold. Listen, I didn't get a chance to. I'm just going to speak directly to Runic Textiles here. She is making a hood for the archery competition, and she's very good, man. And I'm super excited for the hood that she is making for the winner of the archery competition. It is going to be sick. I can't wait to get it away. Anyway, so we got the archery competition, single short. We're going to do an open category, sword and board, non-men's, and then the 4v4 tournament. So we got six overall tournaments. And then as far as individual tournaments go that are melee, it's going to be the single short, sword and board, non-men's, and then the open category. We didn't do the flow or the reach. We'll talk about the negatives for a second. We didn't do the flow and the reach. It's our first one. We don't know. We've never tried to record this much before. And so, normally when you're at a tournament, at an event, the focus is on efficiently running the tournament. And while we're going to be focused on that in this situation too, we have the primary objective for us as the group is going to be to get that recording. So, we're not sure exactly logistically sure how things are going to work. And so we're going to eliminate, unfortunately, flow. It is what it is. Something's got to go. So flow and reach are out, but you can do that in the open category if you'd like. And
yeah, for sure. That makes sense to me. You're on a time limit and you're not sure how many people are going to show up, or you're not sure how many, how all of it's going to work. It's the first time. I think having the open category, I don't think you should be getting too much pushback. Like if I really want to fight flow, I can still fight it in open.
I've already gotten it. People have already played the pushback card. We're fortunately way past all of that, which is good.
Good.
Yeah, it's
good.
It's a good thing.
Now, tell me, you have told me in like personal conversations the thing I'm most excited about. Tell me about these ditch lights. Tell me about this field. Like I'm stoked for this, man.
I am so excited to be working with this site owner, not only on this property, but just in general with the things that are happening. For those that don't know, this site owner already has a LARP. They run a LARP for kids. It's an engineering LARP. These kids come in and they do some engineering feats or whatever, and they get some parts. And next thing you know, they're building a tower and they've got to climb to the top of the stage. It's neat stuff. It really small details here, broad strokes. But anyway, these guys were working together to really build a nice area for events like this. And so these lights, I think they're 120,000 watts per light, but we'll have 4 of them. You're not going to have a bunch of shadows everywhere. It's not, everything's not coming from one angle. The objective here is to make it look like a football field. We're not quite going to get there, but we're trying. It won't be there this year, but as things go and we improve, we're not renting lights, we're installing lights next time around. We'll start, cool. Getting good stuff in there that'll be more permanent. Yeah, the ditch field's going to be sick, man. I don't know what to say. Even if you don't think you can win this tournament, if you do not show up for the Friday night lights, man, you are you're just missing out. We're going to be bringing in sand in the next week and a half or so to go ahead and get everything as level down as we possibly can, and give that field some time to, recoup from the heat of that sand coming in on things. It's going to be real nice. Really excited for it.
Yeah, me too. So as people who are traveling in, flying in, maybe are driving in from out of state, is there anything they need to know about the site as far as the camping or the facilities? What if I'm traveling in from Texas to fight in this? What info do I need to know before I show up?
I mean, it's a campsite just like any others. There's, if you need a CPAP, this is probably not going to be your event this time around. If you have to have that in order to sleep, there will be some electric in some places, but we're not going to be able to guarantee you. So that's the negative, right? There's no electric guaranteed for everybody. For me to say there's electric there. Same thing with the water. So we don't have showers yet. We're working on it. We might be able to get some, 1945 Army showers that are powered by air pressure out of water tanks, but we're not quite there. That's it for the negatives. As far as the positives go, good fields, good shade for the camping, as far as that is concerned. Photo opportunity. There's 3 waterfalls on this property. One's real hard to get to. One's relatively easy to get to as far as hiking to a waterfall is concerned. The one that's about 70 feet tall, and I'm guessing I may be a little over on that one's a little harder to get to, but I'll tell you what, if you do social media in any capacity or you shoot photos or film, even for your park, you get in for free. And if you want to come out here and shoot photos of Amtgarders underneath these waterfalls, please do. There's some real neat opportunity for some secondary stuff at this site. But everything's, I think, going to be laid out pretty well. Our vendor area will be laid out well.
Cool. I'm so glad that you're going to have vendors, man.
Yeah, it's not a ton of them. I've only got 2. We got one really good food vendor coming in. We'll have I think we're going to do pizzas late night once they close down. But the wooden ladles coming in, and they're I don't know if you've ever had their stuff, but man, they're good stuff. Good stuff. The other vendors, 99% coming up, but you're talking about having all the vendors say they're coming out. We got to wait until we can confirm that. There's some
for sure
other stuff happening before we can announce that, but really excited to have the wooden ladle and the other vendor, if they're able to make it, it'll be good stuff.
For sure. So give me price rundown, give me dates.
Yeah. So it'll be $50. I think by the time this airs, it'll be up to the normal price, which is $50. I think we're going to do 3. I think we said 10 days before, but I think we're going to do 3 days before we're going to go to $60. It is not because I want to charge you an extra $10. The wooden ladle, if you want to eat food, they cook, and they have, I believe rabbit is on the menu, fresh cooked cornbread, things like that. They're not going to buy rabbit meat to bring if there's not going to be anybody there to eat it, right? They're not going to waste that meat. So announcing that you're coming is really important so that we can bring the right amount of food. And that's why the $10 is there. The extra $10 at the end is just because we're really just trying to encourage you as best we can to get a ticket
for sure
as soon as possible, because whether that's how many bathrooms we need or to have, and this is the same thing for your local kingdom or realm, right? Buying your ticket early lets people know how many people are coming. It's important. Please help those folks. And that's all. Buy your ticket as soon as you can so that we can, at this event or at any event, help plan appropriately so that we know how many people are coming, so we can have the right amount of bathrooms or food vendors or whatever it might be. Buy your tickets.
Yeah. So kind of one of the last questions I have, do I need to bring my vaccine card? Anything? Okay.
No, I mean, we're gonna follow all state laws. And that's been ever since we've announced this. At that time, there was still some COVID restrictions. The state of Kentucky and they've literally announced we're under no crisis for COVID anymore. As far as vaccines go, I'm vaccinated. Most of the people that I know are vaccinated. I encourage you to get vaccinated. If you're not, when you get sick, sorry, I don't know what to say. I don't want you to, but And I doubt you will. This is outside, right? Outside stuff is, we have the safest event site. Talk about all the negatives of being a primitive. We have the safest event site of any other events. There are no indoor areas, right? So, you're not going to be stuck indoors with anybody.
Cool. So we've got that. We've got the tournament structure. We talked about price. Did we get dates?
August 20th through the 22nd.
Cool.
I'd love to give you an address, but the address that the site is actually at doesn't pull up. I have to give GPS coordinates to where it's at, and that'll bring you right into the driveway to come in. Try to have all of the stuff that you need when you get there. Right, there's a local grocery store, a Dollar General, and a Save a Lot, and things like that are there. So if you need to stop please before you get there. It's just the road coming in is narrow. It's not to say that you just don't want to be backing up to let somebody get past you. So that's the only thing there. Try to have everything with you when you get there, and that'll help make things run a little smoother. Yeah,
for sure. We'll make sure that we put the link to the event page in the show notes.
Yeah, please.
So that way, if you're interested, if the viewers, you want to get more information on this, that will be down in the show notes for you. So, awesome. Hogman, you got anything else coming up in the next, 6 months to 12 months in the foam fighting world that you're excited for?
Too much, man.
Too much?
Yeah, I'm too busy, if anything, right? So but this website, some of you folks know before you even knew about Come Try LARP, you had heard of the auction houses brewing in the background. That's coming up. The objective of that website, for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, is going to be to help direct these new players directly to our vendors, right? So instead of bringing a new player on and they're saying, well, where do I get garb? And then we're trying to hook them up with 17 other people who are too busy to do whatever, or go to Etsy, right? And then they're dealing with, who knows who from wherever, to bring in local actual foam fighting vendors all into one place in a well-maintained, professionally ran and set up website. The same developer that's doing the Come Try LARP site is doing the auction house. And so that's coming soon enough. Be on the lookout for that. So that's the big thing. That's the next big thing that I've got coming up, hopefully before Black Friday, Cyber Monday gets here. We'll have that running on all cylinders. So excited about that. I'm working with some other folks on getting quests together. We're trying to get these quest writers to write quests, and then we're going to spruce them up through, I think it's called Critical Role or Home Brewery or something, to get those set up so they look like they're coming quests straight out of a D&D campaign. Cool. But that way Parks, regardless of Dagorhir or Amtgard or whatever the Bell Hearthlight, can go in, and if you're Park that likes quests, you'll be able to download this series of one-shot quests that you can run either weekly or once a month or whatever it might be to help put the role play back in LARPing. Because let's be honest, we do a lot of battle gaming.
Yeah,
and I'm not a big role play guy. I'm not at all. I actually don't enjoy it a whole lot, but just like anything else, right? That's not my Amtgard, but for some people, they really enjoy that. And so, we're reaching out and trying to, I would say that's the one thing, if you were going to ask me a question about what am I lacking, I really wish I had more trad LARP people, traditional LARP folks on the site. And I'm hoping through some of the people that I'm working with, we can get some of those folks, picked up and on there. God, I don't know if you can hear the dogs barking in the background.
No, you're good, man. We're very, very dog friendly on the archive, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That we do in the foam world. We do a lot of the live action, and the role play part that we do have is often cringy at best. And I am not one to have all the, the ways to fix it, or what that looks like. And I think bringing in some more of the traditional LARPers, some of the Euro LARPers, would really, our games could benefit a lot from the storytelling and the look and feel of some of the Euro LARPs.
Absolutely. That's kind of next on my list, is to get out of the Viking tunic, right? And the Viking pants, and I while I don't enjoy the role playing, I do, like you're talking about, enjoy the garb, and I want to try to get into a more look the part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the rule book and everybody gets look the part, even though we're all wearing the exact same thing. It matters not what class you're playing. So I'm going to try to get into more of that traditional LARP in the look that we have. But I really would like more parlor / traditional LARPs to come on to the, come try LARP scene, because the Euro guys are right. You know what I mean? They, when they see that we're just a stick fighting community and that's all that we do, they're, I don't appreciate the constant hate that I catch for it. But if you're out there, load up your park. I'll direct as much traffic as I can. Yeah. That's what we're here for. We want to grow all forms of parlor LARP, from Vampire the Masquerade to, these Fallout LARPs, all the way up to Steel Combat, SCA.
That's the thing. So many of these games don't realize how adjacent each other are. When the SCA grows, every other adjacent LARP grows also. Yeah. And it might not be through direct numbers, but for instance, there was a big SCA documentary that came out this past year from Penzic. I think they recorded it 3 years ago, maybe. That's huge for LARP as a whole. Yeah. Like anytime any of our games grow, and so I don't understand, especially from the Euro. Okay, I understand it when the Euro LARPers are like, what's with the lacrosse gloves and the ball shorts? Right. Okay, right. I get it, right? But I feel like if the games and the festival LARPs grow, the local Amtgard parks grow. Right. And it's a mutually beneficial thing. And so if you're watching this, reach out to the other games in your area, have a good relationship with them. Yeah. It kills me when I look and see like the local DAG park, they can't stand the local, Amtgard park, who can't stand the local SCA park. Like, yeah, we're all dorks. Get over yourself. Yeah. Even if you're not going to cross game, which I would recommend you do because it's a lot of fun. But even if you don't want to cross game, at least be on good terms. Do festivals together. Do cons together. Like there is no reason not to. Just speaking to that subject, when I ran this last Facebook ad for the, our local park in Richmond, Lexington or Winchester, I think ended up picking up 2 new players, just because that had kind of radiated out, to the next town over. And so even though we're an Amtgard park, the local DAG park was able to pick up a couple of new folks, and we'd have never had that if we didn't know. Yeah. Bob and Dave and those guys. For sure. And people get so upset. It's like, oh, my LARP, this is the only thing I'm going to do. I think we got to realize Amtgard's going to attract a very specific type of person. DAG is going to attract a different type of person. And sometimes there's an overlap, right? But sometimes there's not. And there is no reason why, if we get somebody who plays Amtgard with us for a month and we say, hey man, you should go play this game too, because I think you would really enjoy that. Like we would love to have you here, come play with us, but I think you might like this game, and vice versa, back and forth. Like the Goldilocks grind, right? As I was told it is, it's I don't like magic. Well, then go play DAG. You hit too hard. Well, then go play Amtgard, Yep. Whatever it might be, I want to look better. Go play. This isn't badass enough. Well, then go spend $3,000 on armor and fight in the SCA or the ACL or so. You know what I mean? But there's a home for everybody. Have that relationship. So when a new guy shows up and you're not the right fit, you can send them over there because they'll do the same thing for you. It happened. I mean, we have a Central Kentucky foam fighting is so good. Man, I mean, we really do have a good relationship. From one game to the other. Absolutely. Well, not even just foam. EMP is now doing a bunch with the local DAG group. Like, there are a bunch of different games that are all interconnected. And I think, side tangent here, to build those relationships, if the other game is having an event, get your guys to go. Right. Our local DAG did an event and there were a dozen Amtgarders that showed up. 3 weeks later, we put on an event at our park, and half a dozen DAG players showed up and helped us run our event. Like, show up at their events and try not to spend the entire event talking about your game. Just play their game, right? Play. Yeah, just go and have fun.
All the people that are there, direct them to the people that are at that park, because they're local to that area probably anyway. There's no, you're not stealing players. Don't.
No, you're making the deck bigger. You're adding cards to the deck, and it might be a slightly different flavor. But like, if you're an Amtgarder and you're going, if you're an Amtgarder, go to DAG, just play. Don't they might hit a little harder than what you're used to. Most of the time, you're fine. 99% of the time, you're fine. If you're a DAG Bell player and you're coming to Amtgard and they ask you, just play Monk and ignore everybody and go hit people. Right? If you're an SCA or an ACL guy and you want to cross game into one of these, figure out the rules and go play. The mechanics are pretty much the same both ways. If like all of these games gain or grow from cross gaming
on some level. Stick tag is stick tag. It doesn't matter what rule book you're using, right?
Yep. Like, very, very much so. If you're watching this and you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that this is one of the things that I push the most. I had an interview recorded. It'll probably come out next week with Brian from the Bearded Axe. And he is one of the guys who I've seen cross game into a bunch of games. He listed like just a dozen off the top of his head. Yeah. And he was able to say, I love this about this game. I really don't like this. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. There are going to be things about every game that you don't like. There are going to be things about every game that you do enjoy. Find what you enjoy and go have fun.
I'm telling you, we need to start a Darkon Park.
I'm game.
That game is very interesting to me. Very interesting to
me. The only experience I had.
Event.
Oh yeah.
Up in Maryland, yeah, Bella Maternum.
Okay. The only experience that I have with Darkon are the cross gamers who have come to DAG events.
Yeah. I've never actually played. I've read the rule book. I've glanced over the rule book. It's, and it looks interesting to me. I think it'd just be cool to play. I think it'd be cool to play. My only issue with starting a new park here is Lexington. Lexington alone already has 8 parks locally between DAG and Amtgard and all the other stuff that's going on. Yeah. It's just, there's not a lack of things to do on Saturday in the Lexington, Kentucky area at all.
Yeah, for sure. And midweek stuff is going on too with all of those. You can fight as many days of the week you want in our area. We're blessed with that.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Very fortunate.
Yeah. So Hogman, you got any shout outs or anything else you want to cover, you want to chat about before we close out?
Same thing as I'm going to say on all these, which is if you're watching this and you have made it this far, please go put your park on cometrylarp.com. I don't care about my tournament. I don't care if you can get your park registered.
How much does that cost?
It's absolutely nothing, contrary to popular belief. And granted, I charged it first, right? I had to figure out a way to pay for it. This isn't free. It's not free. And if you go to buy something, please buy through my affiliate. Right now it's only Gord, but I want other affiliates. So, if you're out there, hit me up. I need other affiliates. I'd like a good garb vendor. I'd like an Amtgard only vendor. I need a leather vendor. I need an armor vendor. If you're, hit me up. There are people I have 5,000 unique visitors a month right now on this website, driving traffic. And it's not just me. Like I say, all those other folks. Anyway, we're wrapping it up here, aren't we? Go register your park, please. It's a really big deal. You may not get a particular person, but you cannot if you do not. I cannot send you a person. All of these other people out here that are making content and driving traffic, they can't send them to you. We're getting millions of people a month. All of these people, millions of people are seeing foam fighting for the first time every single month. Get your stuff registered. It doesn't matter if you're Boffer, it doesn't matter if you're Parlor, it doesn't matter if you're Steel, whatever it is, get your chapter or club registered.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate you being on, and viewers, thanks for watching this episode of The Archive. We'll see you next time.